Welcome back to ZE Coins channel today. We're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American pocket change that quietly carries history, craftsmanship, and collector curiosity all in one small silver-colored circle. This video is all about the United States of America 1973 mint mark Washington $quarter coin, its background, its story, and why so many people are still searching their drawers and collections for this exact year. Before we get into the details, take a second to imagine the United States in the early 1970s. The country was changing fast. Technology was advancing, culture was shifting, and the economy was feeling the aftershocks of major global events. In the middle of all that change, the U.S. Mint was still producing everyday coins meant for daily life. Coins that would pass through millions of hands, unnoticed at the time, but decades later would spark interest among collectors. The Washington quarter has one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. Introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, this coin quickly became a permanent part of U.S. currency. By 1973, the design was already familiar, trusted, and symbolic. The obverse features the left-facing portrait of George Washington, strong and dignified, with crisp details in the hair, jawline, and coat. Above his head appears the word liberty, while I in God we trust rests to the left, and the date 1973 sits firmly at the bottom. The reverse of the coin is just as iconic. A proud bald eagle stands with wings spread wide, clutching arrows that symbolize strength and readiness, while olive branches below represent peace. United States of America curves along the top. E pluribus unum sits above the eagle, and quarter dollar anchors the bottom. This classic eagle reverse would remain until later design changes decades afterward, making coins like the 1973 quarter part of the final generation of a long-standing visual tradition. Now let's talk about mint marks, because this is where things get interesting. In 1973, Washington quarters were struck at multiple U.S. mint facilities. Coins without a mint mark were produced in Philadelphia, which at the time did not use a mint mark on circulating quarters. Coins with a D mint mark came from the Denver Mint, while special proof versions were struck at the San Francisco Mint and carry an S mint mark. Each mint had its own production characteristics, and collectors pay close attention to these small letters, or the absence of them, because they tell the story of where the coin was born. The composition of the 1973 Washington quarter is another important detail. By this time, the United States had already moved away from silver quarters. These coins are made from a copper-nickel clad composition, with a pure copper core sandwiched between layers of copper-nickel alloy. While they don't contain precious metal, their value and worth come from condition, rarity of specific strikes, and collector demand rather than silver content. Condition is everything when it comes to modern coin collecting. Most 1973 quarters were heavily circulated. They were used in vending machines, laundromats, parking meters, and everyday purchases. As a result, many examples show worn details, scratches, and contact marks. However, coins that survived in exceptionally high condition, especially those with sharp details, original luster, and minimal marks, are the ones that truly capture attention. Collectors often look closely at the high points of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers to judge wear. Strong, well-defined lines indicate less circulation and higher preservation. Mint state coins, which were never used in commerce, are particularly desirable. These coins often came directly from original rolls or were carefully stored by collectors who understood the importance of preservation even back then. Proof versions of the 1973 Washington quarter are a different story altogether. These coins were specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchets. The result is a mirror-like background with frosted design elements that create strong visual contrast. Proof coins were not meant for circulation, and when properly preserved, they remain stunning examples of mint craftsmanship. Even small imperfections can affect their desirability, so collectors examine them closely under magnification. Another factor that adds intrigue to the 1973 quarter is the possibility of errors and varieties. While major errors are not common, collectors are always on the lookout for off-center strikes, double details, or unusual die characteristics. These types of coins add excitement to the hunt, because they turn an ordinary date into something unique and conversation-worthy. Beyond the technical details, there's something emotionally appealing about the 1973 Washington quarter. It represents a moment in time when American coinage was transitioning, when everyday money still carried strong traditional designs, and when the quarter played a bigger role in daily life than it does today. For many people, this coin sparks nostalgia, memories of childhood, of change jingling in pockets, of simple transactions that are now mostly digital. From a collector's perspective, the value and worth of a 1973 mint mark Washington quarter is tied to more than just numbers. It's about condition, eye appeal, mint origin, and personal connection. Some collectors focus on building complete date and mint mark sets, while others seek the finest examples possible. Either way, the 1973 quarter holds its place as an essential piece of the broader Washington quarter story. If you have one of these coins, it's worth taking a closer look. Check the mint mark, examine the surfaces, and consider how well it has been preserved. Even though millions were made, not all survived equally, and time has a way of quietly separating the ordinary from the special. As we wrap up this deep dive, remember that coins like the 1973 Washington quarter remind us that history doesn't always come in grand monuments or famous documents. Sometimes, it fits right in the palm of your hand. A small, everyday object can carry decades of stories, craftsmanship, and collector passion, all waiting to be noticed. Today, collectors pause, lean closer, and ask questions about it. That is exactly the story of the 1991 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin. At first glance, it feels familiar. George Washington's calm, dignified profile greets you, just as it has for generations. But the deeper you go, the more this coin begins to speak. The early 1990s were a fascinating time in the United States. The Cold War had just ended, technology was beginning to reshape everyday life, and the country was stepping into a new era of confidence and change. In 1991, millions of quarters were produced for circulation, meant to serve a practical purpose rather than a collectible one. The Denver Mint, marked by the small but significant D Mint mark, played a major role in this production. These coins were struck with precision, durability, and efficiency in mind, not with the intention of becoming future conversation pieces. And yet, time has a way of changing purpose. The Washington quarter itself has a long and respected legacy. Introduced in the early 20th century, it was designed to honor the first president of the United States, a figure synonymous with leadership, sacrifice, and the foundation of the nation. By the time 1991 arrived, the design was already iconic. The obverse features Washington facing left, his expression steady and thoughtful. The inscriptions surrounding him remind us of liberty and trust, ideals deeply woven into American identity. On the reverse, the eagle stands proud with outstretched wings, symbolizing strength and vigilance. What sets the 1991 D Mint Mark quarter apart is not dramatic visual flair or rare metal composition. Instead, its appeal lies in condition, history, and the subtle details that collectors love to analyze. Coins from the Denver Mint are known for strong strikes, and many examples from that year show clear lettering and defined features. Still, these quarters lived real lives. They jingled in pockets, slid across counters, and endured the wear of daily commerce. Because of this, finding one in exceptional condition today becomes part of the thrill. Collectors often talk about the story a coin tells through its surfaces. On a well-preserved 1991 D quarter, Washington's hair retains its fine detail, the eagle's feathers appear crisp, and the fields show minimal marks. These qualities elevate the coin beyond a simple piece of change. It becomes a snapshot of the moment it was struck, frozen in metal. Even the smallest scratch or shine pattern can reveal how the coin was handled, stored, or protected over the decades. There is also an emotional connection that comes with coins like this. Many people remember using these quarters in everyday life. They were the coins used in arcade machines, parking meters, laundromats, and vending machines. They were part of routine moments that now feel nostalgic. When collectors revisit these coins, they are not just evaluating metal and condition. They are reconnecting with memories of a simpler time. The value and worth of the 1991 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin is a topic that sparks curiosity. Some might assume that because it is not ancient or made of precious metal, it holds little interest. But the coin market is not driven by age alone. Rarity and high-grade condition demand among collectors, and historical context all play vital roles. Over time, as fewer pristine examples remain, interest naturally grows. Collectors search, compare, and preserve, creating a quiet but persistent demand. Another layer of fascination comes from the idea of discovery. Many collectors start their journey by checking their own change, hoping to spot something special hiding in plain sight. The 1991 D quarter represents that possibility. It reminds people that collectibles do not always come from auctions or museums. Sometimes, they come from everyday life, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. The Denver Mint itself adds weight to the story. Located in Colorado, it has been a cornerstone of American coin production for decades. The D Mint mark is small, but it carries a reputation for quality and consistency. Coins from this mint have traveled across the country, spreading its influence far beyond its physical location. Owning a coin with this mark connects the holder to a broader narrative of American craftsmanship. As years pass, interest in modern-era coins continues to grow. Collectors who once focused only on much older pieces are now recognizing the importance of coins from the late 20th century. These coins represent a bridge between traditional minting practices and the modern world. The 1991 D Washington quarter sits comfortably in that space, making it appealing to both seasoned collectors and newcomers. When people talk about worth, they are often thinking beyond money. They think about satisfaction, pride, and the joy of owning something meaningful. This quarter offers all of that. It is accessible yet intriguing, familiar yet full of nuance. It invites learning, research, and appreciation. Whether displayed in a collection, stored carefully, or simply admired for its design, it holds a quiet power. In the end, the story of the 1991 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin is about transformation. It began as a tool of commerce and evolved into an object of interest and respect. It reflects the era it was born in and the people who used it. It stands as a reminder that even the most ordinary objects can gain extraordinary significance over time. Video dives deep into the story, value, and worth of these fascinating $quarter coins, and why collectors still talk about them decades later. The birth of American coinage and the meaning of 1787. To understand why the number 1787 matters so much on a $quarter, we need to travel back to the earliest days of the United States. The year 1787 is one of the most powerful dates in American history. It represents the drafting of the United States Constitution, the foundation upon which the entire nation was built. When this date appears on a modern coin, it is not marking the year the coin was struck, but honoring the birth of American democracy itself. This historical reference transforms an everyday quarter into a miniature monument. It connects modern Americans to the vision of unity, freedom, and structure imagined more than 2 centuries ago. Collectors are drawn to coins like this not only for metal and condition, but for the story engraved into their surface. Why 1999 changed quarters forever now? Let's jump forward to 1999, a year that completely changed how Americans viewed $quarter. This was the launch of the 50-state quarters program, one of the most successful coin programs in U.S. history. For the first time, quarters were designed to represent individual states, released one by one, sparking nationwide interest in pocket change. Millions of people who had never collected coins before suddenly started checking every quarter they received. Families saved them, kids traded them, and collectors carefully searched for mint marks, errors, and condition differences. A 1999 quarter is more than a coin from the late 20th century. It is a symbol of a collecting revolution. The power of the D Mint mark. When you see a small D on a $quarter, it tells you something very important. That coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Mint marks play a huge role in coin collecting because they identify where a coin was produced and sometimes how many were made. The Denver Mint is known for producing large quantities of coins, but not all Denver minted quarters are equal. Certain runs, strikes, and conditions can elevate a coin far above face value. Collectors often compare D Mint mark coins with their Philadelphia counterparts, looking for differences in strike sharpness, luster, and long-term preservation. Design details that collectors love. A $quarter tied to 1787 and struck in 1999 carries design elements that deserve careful attention. On the obverse, you'll find George Washington, calm and dignified, reminding us of leadership and legacy. His portrait is a constant presence on the quarter, yet every version feels slightly different depending on the year and strike quality. The reverse design, depending on the specific issue, celebrates American ideals or state heritage. Crisp lines, balanced relief, and strong contrast between raised and flat surfaces are key factors collectors look for. Even tiny details, like the clarity of lettering or the smoothness of the rim, can influence a coin's desirability. Condition and preservation matter more than you think. One of the biggest factors in a $quarter worth is condition. Two coins from the same year and mint can have drastically different values depending on how well they were preserved. Coins that have never circulated, meaning they show no wear from use, are especially attractive to collectors. Luster is another crucial detail. That bright, original shine that reflects light evenly across the surface signals a coin that has been carefully stored. Scratches, dullness, or discoloration can lower interest, while clean surfaces and sharp edges increase appeal. Why collectors still chase these quarters? You might wonder why collectors continue to search for 1999 D mint mark quarters connected to the 1787 theme when millions were produced. The answer lies in a combination of nostalgia, historical symbolism, and the thrill of finding a standout example. For many collectors, these quarters represent the moment they first became interested in coins. For others, they are a gateway into deeper numismatic study. The blend of modern minting with early American history creates a unique crossover that appeals to both new and experienced collectors. Market interest and long-term appeal coins are more than metal. They are part of a living market shaped by demand, rarity, and storytelling. While most circulated quarters remain close to face value, certain examples gain attention due to condition, mint mark, or special characteristics. The continued popularity of the 50-state quarters program keeps interest alive. New collectors often start by completing sets, while seasoned enthusiasts look for the best possible examples to upgrade their collections. This steady demand supports ongoing market value and discussion. The emotional side of coin collecting beyond charts and numbers. There is something deeply emotional about holding a coin that connects centuries of American history. A quarter referencing 1787 and struck in 1999 bridges the founding era and the modern age. It reminds us that history is not locked away in books or museums. Sometimes, it sits quietly in the palm of your hand. Collectors often talk about the feeling of discovery, the excitement of spotting a clean strike, or the satisfaction of adding a meaningful piece to a collection. These emotions play a powerful role in why coins like this remain relevant and sought after. Final thoughts. A small coin with a big story. As we come to the end of this journey, it becomes clear that the United States of America 1999 D mint mark $quarter associated with the historic 1787 date is far more than everyday change. It is a storyteller, a symbol, and a collectible that continues to capture attention. Story is not just about pocket change. It's about time travel, symbolism, mint marks, and the quiet thrill of wondering whether a simple coin could be worth more than its face value. Welcome to a deep dive into the United States of America 2001 D mint mark $quarter, linked symbolically to the legacy of 1791 and the fascinating question everyone loves to ask: what is it really worth? Coins have always been storytellers. Long before videos, books, or screens, metal discs carried the identity of a nation. When the United States began shaping its monetary system, every coin became a message to the future. The $quarter is one of the most familiar coins in American life, but familiarity often hides importance. The 2001 D quarter is a perfect example. It circulated through hands, wallets, and vending machines, quietly collecting history while most people never gave it a second look at it. To understand why collectors pay attention to a quarter like this, we need to step back in time. The year 1791 holds a special place in American history. It represents the early foundation of the nation's financial system and the era when America was defining its identity, its laws, and its economic independence. When later coins reference or echo this historical spirit, collectors take notice. The 2001 quarter, especially those with distinct mint marks, connects modern minting technology with the philosophy and symbolism of America's earliest years. The small letter D on a quarter might seem insignificant, but it changes everything. That single mint mark tells us the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, a facility known for producing massive quantities of coins with consistent quality. However, within those millions, some coins stand out. Variations in strike quality, luster, and preservation can transform a common quarter into a collectible item. For coin enthusiasts, the Denver Mint adds a layer of intrigue. Because condition matters just as much as age. Look closely at the quarter dollar from this era and you'll notice how intentional every detail is. The portrait, the inscriptions, the balance of text and image. Nothing is accidental. These elements were designed to reflect stability, authority, and continuity. When collectors examine a 2001 D quarter today, they aren't just checking metal. They are evaluating artistry, historical reference, and how well that tiny canvas has survived the passage of time. One of the biggest misconceptions about coin value is that age alone determines worth. In reality, condition is king. A heavily worn quarter that spent years in circulation tells a story, but it may not excite collectors. On the other hand, a well-preserved example with strong details, clean surfaces, and original shine can spark serious interest. Even coins from recent decades can gain attention if they look almost untouched by time. Coin collecting is not only about money. It's about connection. People collect coins to feel closer to history, to own a physical piece of the past. The 2001 D quarter tied to the symbolic weight of 1791 appeals to both new collectors and seasoned enthusiasts. It bridges modern America with its early roots, creating emotional value alongside financial curiosity. When demand meets scarcity, value begins to rise. While many 2001 quarters exist, not all are equal. Coins that remain in exceptional condition or that carry special appeal due to their symbolism attract attention in the collector market. Videos, auctions, and online discussions continue to fuel curiosity, encouraging people to check their change and ask the same question. Could this quarter be something special? It's important to approach coin values with both excitement and realism. Not every quarter will change your life, but understanding why certain coins are discussed, collected, and evaluated helps you see money differently. A quarter is no longer just a quarter. It becomes a historical artifact, a teaching tool, and sometimes a small investment. Knowledge is what turns curiosity into confidence. In a digital world where payments are invisible, physical coins feel almost magical. Holding a quarter minted in 2001 connects you to a real moment in American production and policy. Linking that coin to the spirit of 1791 reminds us that America's financial story is still unfolding. Each coin is a chapter, and collectors are the readers preserving those pages. Today's video is all about a coin that many people have held, spent, or ignored without realizing it may carry more meaning and worth than expected. We're diving deep into the United States of America 2015 P Mint Mark quarter dollar coin. This is not just a piece of everyday change. It's a snapshot of American history, craftsmanship, and collector curiosity. Stick with me until the end, because this coin has a story that quietly surprises those who take the time to understand it. The quarter dollar in American life for more than 2 centuries. The quarter dollar has been one of the most trusted coins in the United States. It has passed through millions of hands, from grocery stores to gas stations, parking meters to vending machines. The quarter is practical, familiar, and often overlooked. But this very familiarity is what makes certain quarters so interesting to collectors. When a coin is common in use, small differences in minting, condition, and origin can transform it from spare change into a collectible object with real significance. Why the year matters. The year 2015 stands out in modern American coinage. This period represents a time when the United States Mint was producing coins with advanced technology, improved consistency, and heightened attention to detail. It was also a time when many Americans were rediscovering coin collecting, driven by special designs and circulating programs. The 2015 quarter dollar reflects this era perfectly, blending tradition with modern minting standards. Understanding the P Mint mark. One of the most important features of this coin is the P Mint mark. This small letter indicates that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint holds a special place in American history. It was the first official mint of the United States and remains a symbol of the nation's early independence and economic foundation. A P Mint mark is more than a letter. It's a connection to the birthplace of American coinage. Design and visual appeal. The design of the 2015 P Mint Mark quarter dollar carries the strong, familiar presence that collectors and everyday users recognize instantly. The obverse features George Washington, whose image has defined the quarter for generations. His portrait represents leadership, resilience, and the founding ideals of the country. The lines, contours, and details reflect modern engraving precision while honoring classic design elements that Americans trust and admire. The reverse design from this period adds another layer of interest. Depending on the specific series, it reflects American landscapes, history, or cultural heritage. These designs were created to tell stories, not just fill space. Every line and symbol was chosen to represent something meaningful, making the coin not only monetary but educational. Metal composition and feel. The 2015 P Mint Mark quarter dollar is composed of a copper core layered with a nickel exterior. This combination gives the coin durability, resistance to wear, and a distinctive sound when dropped or handled. The weight and balance of the coin feel familiar, yet solid, reinforcing its role as a dependable unit of currency. For collectors, the condition of this metal layering plays a huge role in determining desirability. Circulation versus preservation. Many of these quarters entered heavy circulation, which means pristine examples are harder to find than people assume. Coins that avoided scratches, edge wear, discoloration, or contact marks are far more appealing to collectors. A well-preserved 2015 P Mint Mark quarter tells a quiet story of survival, how it escaped years of handling and remained close to its original condition. Collector interest and demand. Collector interest in modern quarters has grown steadily. While older coins often get the spotlight, modern issues like this one attract attention for different reasons. They represent transitional periods in minting history, advances in production quality, and designs that reflect contemporary American identity. Collectors appreciate these coins not just for rarity, but for clarity, sharp detail, and historical placement. The role of condition is everything in coin collecting. A 2015 P Mint Mark quarter dollar that appears clean, sharply struck, and visually appealing stands out immediately. Coins with minimal wear, strong luster, and crisp design elements are the most sought after. Even tiny differences, like the sharpness of Washington's profile or the smoothness of the coin's fields, can significantly affect how the coin is viewed by collectors. Errors and special characteristics. Some collectors keep an eye out for unusual characteristics in modern quarters. Minor minting variations, striking irregularities, or subtle die differences can add intrigue. While not every coin will have such features, the possibility alone keeps collectors examining their change carefully. The 2015 P Mint Mark quarter is often checked closely for these small but fascinating details. Why people overlook this coin? Because it looks familiar. Many people spend this coin without a second thought. That's the irony of modern collectibles. Sometimes the most interesting pieces are hiding in plain sight. The 2015 P Mint Mark quarter dollar blends seamlessly into everyday life, which makes discovering its value even more exciting for those who take a closer look. Long-term perspective. Coins like this one remind us that value isn't always about age. It's about story, condition, demand, and historical context. The 2015 P Mint Mark quarter represents a moment in time when American coinage balanced tradition and modernization. For collectors, it's a piece worth understanding, preserving, and appreciating. Closing thoughts. The next time you come across a quarter, pause for a moment before spending it. Look at the date, check the mint mark, feel the weight, and notice the details. That small piece of metal might carry more meaning than you expect. The United States of America 2015 P Mint Mark quarter dollar coin proves that even modern coins can hold interest, character, and value for those willing to look deeper.